I'm Smina Kiani for Be United, here at the REACH conference in London, where strategies will be discussed to raise achievements amongst black boys and young black men. With me now is Selvin Brown, Deputy Head of Race Equality and Diversity Division at CLG. Selvin, thanks for joining me.
You're welcome.
How important is REACH?
It's incredibly important. It's important to be very clear that REACH is a long-term programme. There are no quick or easy fixes to the problems of young black boys and black men. But I think we've heard today here from the Community Secretary how committed he personally is, how committed the family, that is the officials and the panel working together with the community is. And so it's a very important programme.
How can the government improve underachievement not only in the black community but in the ethnic minority communities in general?
I think we've got a sense of there is a general policy, or be it education, be it or in the health service, that is being implemented, but there are some cases where people fall behind or are excluded. And then it's those circumstances where we need particularly targeted programmes, and that's where REACH comes in. So I think if you look at the REACH programme, the method of involving and communicating and working with stakeholders in the community and then identifying what are those 5 things that is going to make a difference. We've done that with the REACH, and we should be doing that with other groups.
Race equality and education have a huge part to play in this. How can the government ensure improvement within those areas in schools?
The schools and the government departments and the local authorities are all under a duty to look at their functions in relation to the Race Relations Amendment Act and to ensure that they don't discriminate and that indeed they promote good race relations. And so I think it's very important for people to work together at the local, regional and the national level to make sure that that legislation isn't just the best and strongest legislation in Europe, but actually it makes a difference to individuals' real lives.
Should there be some sort of outlet whereby young ethnic people can review and comment on police policy and strategy affecting them? For example, how a stop and search is conducted could adversely affect a young person's perception of the police.
Well, I was stopped as a young person. It certainly had an effect upon me and the way that I viewed the police before I joined the civil service. I think that the law already requires for that to be the case. In fact, if you look on Be United at the moment, we're currently consulting for the Home Office on their race hate campaign. I would encourage more government departments, more policies, more senior officials to undertake a programme of consultation on their policies. I think they can explain them more clearly. People often misunderstand what the intention of the policy is, but at the same time, they can understand and hear from the community how that might likely impact on them. We know that there is evidence out there. It is very clear about the effect of stop and search on young black men and young Asian men as well.
Do you think that successful ethnic people are not focused upon enough, not celebrated enough?
I think it comes from 2 parts, if I'm being fair. I think that there has in the past been a tendency for some people to try and keep under the radar when they've become successful. I think if you look at the REACH role models, that's been turned on its head. There are people there who nobody really had heard before about, but they're incredibly successful in their own fields, whether it be in the private sector, in the voluntary sector, or in the public sector. So I think it is important, but I think we're maybe at the beginning of a stage where people will be more likely to come forward and say, I am successful, this is my journey, this is my story, this is what success looks like.
Can the government do anything to change that?
We are. We've got the REACH role modelling programme and we will be encouraging more people to follow the role models. We've got a programme as part of the role modelling programme which is one to many, where those role models, the 20 role models, are actually trying to motivate and encourage other people to do role modelling themselves so that they actually multiply their output.
Selvin Brown, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.